Hello, welcome. I'm Scott Dennis. Thanks for joining us. Meteorologist John Scalzi off the top here because we have a lot to talk about in our weather today.
3 days in a row.
Yeah, severe thunderstorm warning this morning that we dealt with, and now just a lot of rain, heavy rain.
Yeah, very heavy rainfall. In fact, we're setting up a situation where we could have 5-inch plus rainfalls in the southern part of Sarasota down through areas of Venice, Marco Island, around in there. And that's definitely going to lead to some localized flooding as well. Plus, we had some strong thunderstorms that moved through, severe thunderstorms with gusts that perhaps did some damage on the Suncoast. Apparently did. The Longboat Key Club apparently has had some damage there. We're investigating that now, as well as many reports of 40, 50-mile-an-hour wind gusts as well. So those storms have now pushed south, and the severe thunderstorm threat has become less immediate. Now we have an elevated risk, I think, of the flooding is really going to be a big issue over the course of the next 3, 4, 5 hours. Look how it came down sideways, rain, gusty winds, trees were toppled, and just lots and lots of additional rain on top of really already pretty saturated ground. I mean, we had some rainfall yesterday that came in above 3 inches, and you know, today we've had the similar sort of situation. So we're looking at 6 inches of rainfall over the course of a 24-hour period. For the rest of the afternoon, we still have an issue of course, some strong gusty winds associated with some of these thunderstorms, 40, 45, 50-mile-an-hour winds possible with some of these storms moving on shore. So we do have a small craft advisory up. Obviously, not a day for boating, but more particularly, these gusty storms moving on shore will produce some very heavy rainfall, and that's the thing that we'll be watching now. There seems to be setting up right from, say, Osprey down through Venice and then points south of that, a line of storms that are producing one cell after another over the same locations. This is called a training event, like trains on a railroad, you know, one after another running over the same railroad tracks. Well, imagine railroad tracks with all these storm cells running along the railroad tracks. That's kind of the situation that's setting up here. And that is usually a heavy rain event, and certainly this line extends way out into Gulf waters. There's plenty of lightning associated with this line of showers as well, so that's another danger that we have. Of course, the threat of thunderstorm activity always accompanied by lightning risk, and just good to remember that if you hear lightning, you are in danger of being struck. Some of these lightning pops can occur 10 miles away from where it's raining. So obviously a good day to remain indoors. Ponding on roadways and hydroplaning, a risk throughout the afternoon. We'll talk about the forecast for the remainder of the day coming up in a few minutes, Scott.
Okay, John, thank you. And in light of the rainy weather, the South Jetty in Venice is closed today, and the Venice Community Center remains closed following a lightning strike yesterday. The building's sprinkler and fire alarm systems are still not functioning. Phones and internet are down. The facility is also operating off of generators. And if you signed up for Sarasota County's Code Red system, expect a phone call today. Test calls started going out this morning. The system will call, text, or email those who sign up when an emergency was reported in the county. This includes everything from a boil water notice to tornado warnings. Test calls will go out until 6 o'clock this evening. The county says you can still sign up by using your cell phone number. An update now on a Charlotte County murder trial. The Charlotte Sun reporting the prosecution has rested its case against Michael Russo. He's accused of killing an 18-year-old 7-Eleven clerk in Punta Gorda, then setting the store on fire. An FBI investigator testifying that Russo logged more than 4,000 hours on a video game which involves shooting enemies in the head and then lighting them on fire. The trial continues today. Here on the Suncoast, alligators can become a nuisance in some neighborhoods. Sarasota and Bradenton among the top areas in the state where gators have to be removed. Last year, Florida's statewide nuisance alligator program received nearly 13,000 complaints of gators that were possibly causing issues. Out of the 400-plus cities that reported nuisance gators, the Sarasota area came in second in the state with 176 gators removed. The Bradenton area finished 8th with 116 removals. Orlando there at the top of the list. Experts say there's one gator for every 20 people in Florida, and the biggest problem is when people feed them.
We want to make sure we're not feeding alligators, we're not disposing of those fish scraps anywhere other than the garbage. We want to keep our pets and our children about 10 feet away from the water's edge in areas where there might be alligators.
Again, it is illegal to feed alligators in Florida. If If you feel you've come across a nuisance gator that is no longer afraid of people, contact Florida Fish and Wildlife immediately. This month, the Ringling Museum will begin hosting a special exhibit from the Minneapolis Institute of Art. ABC 7's Jacqueline Matter has more on the Asian art collection that you can visit this summer. Jacqueline?
Good afternoon, Scott. The Eternal Offerings exhibit will showcase nearly 100 Chinese ritual bronze objects. The collection is considered one of the rarest in the country, and the Ringling is the exclusive venue for this fascinating exhibition. The works will showcase the evolution of bronzes in Chinese society, highlighting everything from rituals and significant events to how elite status was represented during that time.
To have that sort of connection to ancient Chinese history and to kind of be close to the objects that are actually used in ritual, I think would be really exciting for a lot of people.
The Ringling Museum will host that exhibit until September 10th and is free with museum admission. Back to you, Scott.
All right, Jacqueline, thank you so much. Time now to get over to our kitchen and check in for the first time with ABC 7 Culinary Director Judy Gallagher. Hi, Judy.
Hi there, Scott. Well, you may not want to run out tonight to get your ingredients for this delicious new modern version of a succotash. You're certainly going to want to pay attention and be able to use it all weekend long. In fact, all summer long. Edamame is the new lima bean, and I really like its flavor. I think the texture is a little better. So I'm going to teach you how to incorporate it with some sweet corn kernels and very good seasoning, some sauteed onions and feta cheese. We'll make a more modern version based on a cooking light recipe, along with some grilled wild salmon burgers. Just delicious as the weather does dry out later this week.
Our dad is an incredible man, a great father, and a hero who served his country well. He worked hard to take care of us. Now we take care of Dad with the help of Granny Nannies.
A helping hand and a gentle heart.
Credit card debt can ruin your life. If you owe $10,000 and minimum payments are siphoning away your paycheck each month, you can get debt-free in less time than you think.
I've paid $800 a month for the past 3 years and haven't changed the balance on my credit card.
Get debt-free now has a program to reduce your debt, stop the harassing phone calls, avoid financial ruin, and settle for less than you owe.
I feel like a huge weight has been lifted off my shoulders.
You're pre-approved for our special hardship program if you owe $10,000 or more. Upon payment of your new lower balance, your debt will finally shrink until you are debt-free.
My family no longer has 30 years of payments ahead of us at 20% interest.
There's no fees until you see results. So call now, make one monthly program payment, and free up your cash. Resolve your debt.
Call 800-685-6422, 800-685-6422.
Hi, I'm Chef Judy. Every Wednesday morning, I'll be with the chefs at the Publix Aprons Cooking School, serving up the most wonderful dishes. Watch Aprons in the Kitchen every Wednesday on ABC 7's Good Morning Suncoast.
Are you Goodwill?
Yes, because when I donate
or shop at Goodwill,
I'm creating a job.
I am Goodwill, yeah, yeah.
The official Suncoast Storm team at ABC 7. We're here for you.
Granny Nannies. We've been making house calls for over 25 years. When you need home health care services, there really is no place like home.
Grandma! A helping hand and a gentle heart.
Now, the official Suncoast weather with ABC 7 meteorologist John Scalzi.
It's from St. Armand this morning. Boy, I tell you what, it came down hard and heavy with rainfall rates of up to 3 inches per hour, just really producing some pretty good flooding on some area roadways. At St. Armand's, the storms moved in with some gusty winds as well, and we had some reports just offshore of some 50-mile-an-hour winds. We also see some damage at Longboat Key Club, where apparently a skylight was blown in, thankfully there were no reports so far of any injuries with this storm moving through, but numerous trees have been pulled down as well. Slow go at St. Armand's. A lot of that water now dissipating. But I'll tell you what, this similar sort of event is now setting up for points south. Let's take a look at the current temperature, 73 degrees. Cooled off a little bit by the cloud cover and the downdraft winds. That's kind of nice, actually, to get that little bit of cooling at this time of year when our normal high would be about 90 degrees. The dew point value is still high at 71, and a south wind blows at about 6, and there are thunderstorms around. 82 degrees, Wauchula, Arcadia at 85, 80, Mayaca City, 77, Parrish, Lakewood Ranch, and Bradenton. A little bit further to the south, we've had a little bit more sunshine, so a little bit more heating going on at Punta Gorda, where it's 84, 84 in Northport, 82 in Inglewood and Venice, 79 degrees Longboat Key. In fact, areas just to the south of Fort Myers, they've had a fair amount of sunshine, and that's actually not a good thing. That helps to destabilize our atmosphere and perhaps set up a situation where anywhere from about Venice, where you see this line of showers all the way down south toward Fort Myers, we could have a very, very heavy rain event. And I mean, maybe in the course of 3 hours, 5 inches of rainfall setting up as one shower after another moves over the same locations. These are all the reports this morning of some wind gusts that were significant. And in fact, we had one thunderstorm wind just offshore of Longboat Key reporting a 51-mile-per-hour gust. Right now, very heavy rainfall moving in from Osprey down through Venice and really all the way back toward Arcadia, Wauchula, heading out into Highlands County. These storms will be a series of storms moving onshore. And as I mentioned, the rainfall rates are significant. Not seeing anything here that signals any kind of rotation. I'm not seeing shear markers. I'm not seeing any velocity reports of heavy rotation at mid-levels, but we are seeing some hail associated with some of these cells, and that certainly is a possibility as they move onshore. So we'll be watching from that, particularly from Venice southward, some possibility of some small to even medium-sized hail. And between these lines that I have drawn is the location where there is the potential for some very, very heavy rainfall this afternoon. I would say that if you at all possibly can, stay off the roadways anywhere between these lines. Probably a good idea this afternoon. These are the hail markers right here, and these kind of light blue shaded areas are what we call hail zones, the location where there is the potential for some hail as these storms move onshore. So you can see through Venice, Osprey, possibly northern parts of Northport, through Boca Grande, into Rotunda, possibility of some minor hail associated with some of these storms, indicating some very strong updrafts and some pretty good downpours of torrential rain. What's the situation here? Well, we have a frontal boundary still located to the north, almost stalled out with little areas of low pressure kind of riding along that front, helping to destabilize our atmosphere. And like little wheels on a conveyor belt, they sling back little bits of energy toward the Gulf Coast. And then there's that convergent line down to the south that produced all the heavy weather yesterday down in the southern tip of the state where they had some 10-inch rainfalls. Well, what's happening is that the showers are beginning to park themselves as that little convergent line kind of merges in central Florida. And that will lead to those heavy rainfalls. So for today, some strong storms, periods of heavy rain, gusty winds out of the southeast creating rip current issues, and a small craft advisory. Obviously, it's a lousy day to be a boater. Don't go out into the waters. The good news is that after these low pressure areas move on past, I think by about Friday or so, we'll probably see some relaxation in our rain chances as we get a brief little period to dry out before rain showers kind of return in the afternoons on Saturday and Sunday. So Scott, for the rest of this afternoon, if you can stay indoors and you live between Venice or Osprey and down south toward the mouth of Charlotte Harbor, probably a good idea for the next couple hours.
All right, John, thank you so much. In Washington today, the Senate Intelligence Committee is holding 2 highly anticipated hearings with top intel officials about the Russia probe. But the main event happens tomorrow with fired FBI Director James Comey. ABC's Stephanie Ramos has a preview.
Today, as President Trump heads to Ohio to talk infrastructure, In Washington, lawmakers are grilling top national security and law enforcement officials about the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act. But the investigation into Russian interference came up almost immediately.
Each of you here today, we all know, have taken an oath to defend the Constitution.
The Washington Post is now reporting that the Director of National Intelligence, Dan Coats, says Trump asked him to get former FBI Director James Comey to back off on the investigation into former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn and Russia.
Any attempt by the White House or even the President himself to exploit this community as a tool for political purposes is deeply, deeply troubling.
I have never been pressured. I have never felt pressure to intervene.
But the main event is slated for tomorrow when Comey testifies before the Senate. On Thursday, Comey is expected to talk about his conversations with President Trump, who allegedly asked Comey to end the investigation into Trump campaign ties to Russia.
He had told me in general terms that the president is uncomfortable with me because he asked for loyalty, and I told him I could only give him honesty.
In a new Washington Post ABC News poll, a 56% majority of U.S. adults say Trump is interfering with such investigations rather than cooperating, while 61% say Trump fired Comey to protect himself rather than for the good of the country. The president is said to be blaming Attorney General Jeff Sessions' decision to recuse himself on Russia for many of their current problems. When asked by a reporter if he'll resign, the AG says
no.
On the eve of James Comey's testimony, President Trump tweets he is nominating Chris Wray to be the new FBI director. Wray is a former senior Justice Department official. Stephanie Ramos, ABC News, Washington.
In health news this afternoon, another reason to think before you drink. According to a new study, moderate drinking may not be great for your brain. Researchers found that moderate drinkers had a higher risk of hippocampal atrophy, which is a form of brain damage. And those who drink a little heavier have a faster decline in language and critical thinking skills. And they're shown to age quicker as well. New records for the University of South Florida. The school ranks 5th among American public universities in generating new U.S. patents in 2016. USF ranks 11th worldwide and 11th among universities across the world in generating new U.S. patents. USF's 114 patents include health ones like hormone treatment for age-related hearing loss and a supplement that has been found in research to alleviate symptoms of Angelman syndrome, which is a devastating neurological disorder. Other schools with high patent rankings are University of California, University of Texas, and University of Michigan. Here at home, commissioners from Sarasota County and Northport are working together to make the county more age-friendly. 2 years ago, Sarasota County became the first county in the state to join the World Health Organization's global network of age-friendly cities and communities. The county surveyed more than 1,200 residents over the age of 50 to learn about their personal preferences and perspectives, such as health services, employment, and social activities. Most of the plan focuses on affordable housing. To accommodate everyone, commissioners are hoping to come together to create universal design options for various income levels. Let's get back to John now, who joins us now with a special guest from the Florida Studio Theater. John?
That's right. Stacey Harris joins us now, who is a Florida Studio Theater alumni and from New York to do a few years back. Thanks for coming in today on this really lousy weather day. Really
Thank
appreciate it.
you so much for inviting me, John. It's great to be here.
First of all, you have a glorious voice.
Oh, thank you.
The show that you're in now, I understand, has just been extended.
Yes, by popular demand.
Bert and Me.
Yes, we're now running until June 25th. Bert and Me, featuring Burt Bacharach and Hal David music.
Oh, it was so much fun to go into the theater and hear these songs that I personally was familiar with, and frankly, most of the audience was familiar with. I know they're kind of new to you. What are you discovering a whole new genre of music that you hadn't known about before?
Well, actually, they're not all that new to me.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like growing up, somehow I knew these songs. Maybe I had heard them on the radio or something like that, because my parents had these old piano books, songs, hits from the 60s and 70s.
Right. Way back in the day.
Yes,
Yep.
I used to just sit on the floor and flip through them, and when I get to something I knew, I'd sing through them.
Oh,
and
you're a music geek, aren't you?
Yes, totally, totally. So I knew a lot of these songs, and
of course, being in the theater, you must have known Promises, Promises, right?
Yes, I knew that one. Yes,
show.
and I had sung with I had sung with an all-girls trio that did a lot of 60s music, and we did The Look of Love and Wishin' and Hopin' and Say a Little Prayer, all great songs that are in our show, Bert and Me.
Well, it's kind of cool because a lot of this music was written for, I guess, Dionne Warwick and other R&B.
Dusty Springfield and B.J. Thomas and the Carpenters. So a lot of people come to the show not necessarily knowing that they know all these songs because they were recorded by other artists, but then they come out and they say, I knew all those songs.
Yes.
So it's really a lot of fun to
share.
Yeah,
a lot of people were kind of tapping along to the music, I think. And, you know, you've incorporated it very nicely into a show that kind of deals with love and home, and it's just very charming and kind of a nice way to kick back in the summer heat and relax and enjoy the sounds.
I'm so glad you enjoyed it. We think of it like a great romantic comedy movie. A boy meets girl, loses girl, and are they going to find each other in the end? And it might not necessarily be a ride that is unexpected, but you really enjoy taking that trip with us.
Well, it was a whole lot of fun, and of course we have some information on the screen for you about when this plays. It's through June 25th, and I do want to mention that we now have another severe thunderstorm warning up for Charlotte, Sarasota, and DeSoto County as well. It's part of that whole line of system moving through. Again, some gusty winds in excess of 60 miles an hour possible with some of these storms, as well as torrential downpours of rain. We'll talk all about that in just a second. Thank you so much for coming in. Really appreciate it. Good luck on the rest of your run and enjoy Sarasota. Believe me, the weather is usually better than this.
Yes, yes.
We'll be right back.
Many choices when it comes to AC companies. Our advice? Choose a company that performs employee background checks and is licensed with top manufacturers like Daikin. Daikin offers a 12-year parts and labor limited warranty. For better comfort and value, call Elite Heating and Air.
Today, everyone is looking for more fashionable choices in flooring than ever before. And G. Fried has responded with a huge selection of carpets, tile, wood, laminate, and vinyl. Installed by a highly skilled team, G. Fried has got everything you're looking for and more. The next time you think about quality flooring, think G. Fried Flooring America. G. Fried Flooring America. Our world is at your feet.
Need more space in your place? The More Space Place can help with Murphy beds that disappear to reveal a home office, living room, or den. Custom closets with designated areas for your shoes, bags, wardrobe, and accessories. Custom-built entertainment centers, garage storage systems, and more. The More Space Place has 3 showrooms next to Sonny's on US 41 South in Sarasota, on Lakewood Ranch Boulevard just south of State Route 64 in Bradenton, and on Tamiami Trail next to Panera Bread in Port Charlotte. Put more space in your place at the More Space Place.
Attention, Americans eligible for Medicare. Are you getting all the benefits you're entitled to? Did you know there may be money available to lower your medical prescription costs? Call Health Markets and we'll tell you if you qualify.
Hi, I'm Dr. Martin Jeetsi. It's a new Medicare year. That means more changes and more confusion. The key question is, what can you do now to ensure you get the care you need in the coming year?
Call Health Markets today. You may qualify to save money on prescriptions. We'll help you find plans that may cost less, cover more, and could even lower your prescription costs to increase your savings. We help you find all the benefits you're entitled to, and we do it at no cost.
Make sure you have what you need to get the care that's right for you.
Find out if you qualify to receive extra help with your prescriptions. Call the number on the screen now. Representatives are standing by.
Enjoy some of the best Suncoast restaurants on me. Just go to mysuncoast.com/dining, sign up for the newsletter if you haven't already, and you can win a $50 gift card to a restaurant in our area. We'll pick a winner each week, so go on our website and sign up now.
Check out mysuncoast.com/dining, your guide to the foodie lifestyle.
Everybody know about a severe thunderstorm warning that has been issued for areas of Charlotte County, parts of Sarasota County, and into Hardy County, or DeSoto County as well. Gusty storms, heavy rains, all setting up this cone here is an indication of the path anywhere within this cone, the severe thunderstorm cell can affect areas with heavy rainfall as well as gusty wind. Got to respect the parallelogram here. This anywhere within this yellow cone is a potential area of risk from the thunderstorm cell that's now moving into areas, especially around Rotunda, eventually into Punta Gorda, Northport, Port Charlotte, and then on up toward Arcadia. It's moving rapidly, and it is producing some hail. We have some hail markers here, an indication of the strength of this storm and the fact that it could produce maybe some nickel-sized hail. You can see the core of the storm now moving through parts of Rotunda right now, on its way up through Northport in the next 10 minutes or so, and then on into Arcadia within a half an hour. This cell is moving at about 50 miles an hour, capable of producing some very gusty, damaging winds in excess of 60 miles an hour, as well as these torrential downpours of rain and frequent lightning. Update you on the forecast coming up in a few minutes, Scott.
All right, John, thank you. A loss for the Tampa Bay Rays last night on their home field. The Rays kicking off a 3-game series against the White Sox at home. 3 White Sox players homering against the Rays to give Chicago a 4-2 victory. The win snaps a 5-game losing streak for the White Sox, and it extends now the Rays' losing streak to 4 games. Same 2 play again tonight at Tropicana Field. Novak Djokovic is out of the French Open. The defending champion lost to 6-seeded Dominic Thiem in the quarterfinals. Thiem will next face Rafael Nadal in the semis. The 23-year-old Austrian beat Nadal last month in Rome, and the Spaniard's only loss on clay this season. A Sarasota High School alum is making Major League Baseball history last night. Cincinnati Reds player Scooter Gennett is the first Reds player to ever hit 4 home runs in a game and the 15th player in the league to do so in the modern era. He accomplished the feat last night against the Cardinals. Gennett also had a base hit and 10 runs batted in. He started the night with 38 career home runs, including 3 this season. Gennett managed to help the Reds beat the Cardinals 13-1. Back to the kitchen now to check in again with Chef Judy Gallagher. Judy.
Well, Scott, I have the onion sauteed. About 1 medium-sized Vidalia onion should do it, with a little oil. Now, you can use a high-quality olive oil, but what I also like to use, this is a Mediterranean herb olive oil. You can make it homemade by putting your herbs in and maybe some garlic, but I always keep one of those handy. It really enhances the flavor. So what we want to do now, in a minute, we're going to add some edamame to saute. I bought these wild salmon burgers over at the Fresh Market. Wild salmon is very much in season right now. It's going to run anywhere from $20 to $22 a pound, but it's just loaded with healthy omegas and really good nutrients, and they're fat. It's that really delicious salmon flavor that you're going to get, that wild fat salmon. So something to think about. But what they do is, obviously, they take the smaller pieces left over from marinated wild salmon. This one is a salmon burger that has a little bourbon sauce in it. So often, my mom grew up making canned salmon patties, which I also still love to this day with a can of Rubenstein salmon, but fresh is always better. Also, another option is to get the ahi tuna. They're about $7.99 each. They're frozen, but they're frozen right when they're first caught out to sea. So they're nice and fresh. It's just going to do a lightly sear and really awesome to go with this edamame. So into the onions goes our shelled edamame. And this is probably just an FYI for your doggies. My vet recommends that I feed a little edamame, not this fancy, to my dogs, but Norman sure gets a little bit. Now, I'll be back in a little bit to finish up this dish, and we'll keep you apprised of the weather that's happening outside as well.
If you're trying to balance caring for your mother and being a mother to your children, we can help. It's what we do. Call Granny Nannies today.
A helping hand and a gentle heart.
What to do when your heating or air conditioning needs service or, heaven forbid, replacement? Call Air Now today. We've been serving Sarasota and Manatee counties since 1946. We offer $49.95 tune-ups, lease or finance options, and remember, service today or it's free.
Hi, I'm Chef Judy. Every Wednesday morning, I'll be with the chefs at the Publix Aprons Cooking School serving up the most wonderful dishes. Watch Aprons in the Kitchen every Wednesday on ABC7's Good Morning Suncoast.
They're coming from Tampa, Fort Myers, even Orlando. They're coming from everywhere for the Sarasota Ford Promise. Our promise means a new car you'll love. If not, return it for one you do. At Sarasota Ford, we promise live market pricing. We monitor national pricing on our entire inventory, so you get the best deal. In fact, we guarantee it. Bring us any competitor's ad, and we'll beat it by at least $1,000. That's why they're coming from everywhere to Sarasota Ford, where 41 meets 301. SarasotaFord.com.
I knew I could get myself out of this. I just needed some hope and some help.
I took the first step to recovery when I made the call.
If you're depressed, drinking, and using drugs, you may need help. And the Affordable Care Act guarantees coverage of substance abuse. Call the Addiction, Hope, and Helpline now for a free assessment.
I had problems just getting to sleep, drinking and using pills every night.
I feel like I'm losing control. I'm afraid I'll lose my job or even my family.
Are you losing hope? You can recover and get back on track. Call now for hope and help with proven, gentle recovery programs.
I never thought that I could be somebody who didn't drink and use drugs.
I have something to hold on to for strength. I'm in recovery, getting the help I need.
Call the Addiction, Hope, and Helpline now for a free assessment with someone who cares.
Call 1-800-764-8708. That's 1-800-764-8708.
Since 1928, Karastan has been setting the standard in carpets and rugs, producing non-allergenic wools that won't promote the growth of bacteria or dust mites like other carpets will. Karastan wools actively remove contaminants from the indoor air, making your home healthier. And there are many colors and patterns and textures to choose from. Come see for yourself.
So many possibilities worth exploring. Minnesota Flooring.
My dad is my hero, and I wanted to give him a chance to live life and be happy. Granny Nannies has been a huge help. It has contributed to the health and happiness of my dad, for sure.
A helping hand and a gentle heart.
Live from our studios on Florida's Suncoast, this is ABC 7 News at noon. Your Suncoast News. We're here for you.
Welcome back. Topping our news this half hour, testimony continues in sex assault trial against Bill Cosby. Yesterday, Cosby came face to face with his chief accuser, Andrea Constand, who is back on the witness stand today. She recounted her alleged assault by Cosby 13 years ago. Constand says she shot down the actor's casual advances twice before she found herself paralyzed and unable to fight him. She also claims she took pills that he said were herbal supplements.
We are just so proud of her for maintaining her composure, and I think she answered the questions to the best of her ability.
In many ways, the case comes down to, do the jurors believe her?
Claims the relationship with Constand was consensual. If convicted, the 79-year-old Cosby could spend the rest of his life in prison. Also today, a Florida woman has pleaded guilty to threatening a man whose 6-year-old son was killed in the 2012 Sandy Hook school shooting, which she believed was a hoax. A federal judge sentenced 57-year-old Lucy Richards to 5 months in prison, followed by 5 months of home detention. She pleaded guilty to interstate transmission of a threat to injure. She's charged with threatening Lenny Posner, the father of Noah Posner, who died in the Sandy Hook school shooting in Newtown, Connecticut. Prosecutors say Richards sent the messages after viewing those conspiracy theory websites. Heavy rain continues to fall here on the Suncoast and other parts of Florida. Rainfall causing flooding in Collier County yesterday. That's where drivers had to maneuver around large puddles. Those who make their living fishing had to stay in port. Some people say they haven't seen flooding this bad in years.
I've lived here for 40 years. My wife was born and raised here. Let me tell you something. A hurricane has not put this much water in here since Donna.
Rain also causing flight delays and cancellations at the Miami and Fort Lauderdale airports. National Weather Service issued a flood watch for South Florida. And check out the storm clouds rolling in off the Gulf of Mexico this morning. This is in Panama City. For many, it's a welcome sight since 70% of the state is in a drought, but significant rain this week is certainly helping. We need the rain, John. We just don't want the severe weather that we've been seeing so far today here on the Suncoast.
Right, absolutely right. And we don't want too much rain too quickly,
right?
Because that's going to lead to a flooding situation, I think, a little bit later on. We right now have some issues with severe thunderstorms moving through areas around Port Charlotte, Northport, also seeing some very heavy rainfall and some very gusty winds as well. Severe thunderstorm defined as 60 miles an hour or better, and anywhere in that polygon there, respect the polygon. If you are inside of that polygon, you should stay indoors and away from any windows as that storm system moves through. And this storm is capable of breaking branches and producing some very heavy torrential flooding rains on roadways and gusty winds as well. So obviously this is a storm that you just want to let pass by, and it'll move very quickly. It's moving at 50 miles an hour right now. It also contains some hail as well. Another reason you don't want to be out driving on roadways. If you know anybody who might be within that polygon and might be on the roadways, you might want to give them a call, especially if they live in areas like northern Port Charlotte or areas like Arcadia, which in about 15 minutes we'll start to see that storm system moving in. This polygon up through about the next half hour or so. It expires at 1 o'clock. And the core of the system, as you can see, just now moving into Port Charlotte right there, and also into Northport as well, on its way up toward the Arcadia region. That's where the furthest extent of the cone will be issued. By the time it gets there, it will have lost a lot of its punch. In fact, it already has lost some of its punch, but still capable of producing those gusty winds and hail. There is no rotation that suggests any kind of tornadic development with this storm, but certainly the biggest threat would be those gusty winds. So best to just stay off the roadways. As far as the rest of the afternoon goes, it's going to be wet, and there are going to be some areas of flooding, no doubt, across the region. We'll talk about that, and we'll talk about the amazingly rapid increase in river and stream flows across the area coming up in just a few. Scott?
Thank you. Developing this afternoon, twin terror attacks in the capital of Iran this morning leaves more than a dozen people dead. Details are still unfolding there. ABC's Maggie Ruley has the latest.
For the first time, ISIS has carried out an act of terror in Iran, claiming responsibility for rare attacks on the nation's parliament and the spiritual heart of the capital, the shrine to the Islamic Republic's founder, Ayatollah Khomeini. State media reports that at least 12 are dead, more than 40 others injured, after the two separate attacks that included 2 suicide bombs. Eyewitnesses say they panicked hearing gunfire nearby. The first attack struck the parliament building while lawmakers were still in session. ISIS posting this video of the siege as it was unfolding. People trapped inside try to escape from windows, and here a child rescued by police. State media now reporting the siege has finally ended, and at least one attacker blew himself up inside. The second attack happening at the same time just minutes away. A suicide bomb at the historic shrine of Iran's revolutionary leader.
Actually hitting inside of Iran, deep in Tehran, is extremely unusual.
ISIS is an enemy of Iran. The Sunni Muslim extremist terrorist group is at war with Shiite Muslims, who make up the majority of Iran. But this is their first major attack inside the country's capital.
If there is one entity that ISIS seems to hate and oppose more than the United States, it's actually Iran.
Experts say this attack was well coordinated and are calling it a wake-up call for the Iranian regime. Maggie Ruley, ABC News, New York.
Hawaii is responding to the U.S. withdrawal from the Paris Climate Accord. Hawaii's governor signing a law to document sea level rise and set strategies to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. This makes Hawaii the first state in the nation to enact laws that align with the Paris Agreement. The islands are seeing the impacts of climate change firsthand. The governor says tides are getting higher, biodiversity is shrinking, corals bleaching, and coastlines are eroding.
In order for Hawaii to be an active participant in going green and looking at alternative energies, we want to be the first and we want to be the trendsetter for the rest of the world.
President Trump withdrew the U.S. from the Paris Agreement last week, but despite the president's decision, at least a dozen states, including Hawaii, have signed pledges to continue reducing fossil fuel emissions. Happening today in Florida, lawmakers are back at the state capitol for a 3-day special session. That session comes after Governor Scott vetoed nearly $12 billion from the state budget. Most of those vetoes are tied to the main account used to pay for public schools. The governor wants lawmakers to pass a new budget for schools and set aside money for his top priorities, which includes restoring money to the agency that handles tourism marketing for the state. But Senate leaders already say they plan to override some of those vetoes and spend more money for hospitals instead. Medical marijuana could also be added to the agenda. The special session is expected to cost more than $70,000 a day and is supposed to wrap up on Friday. Despite President Trump's push to enact a travel ban, government figures show that more international tourists visited the United States this year than expected. According to the U.S. Travel Association's Travel Trends Index, international tourism grew by about 4% in April. But should the president's travel ban clear the courts, that could change. According to the Global Business Travel Association, the U.S. could lose $1.3 billion in hotels, food, and other travel expenditures if the travel ban is put into effect. Back to the kitchen now and see how a delicious lunch is coming along with culinary director Judy Gallagher. Judy.
Hey there, Scott. Took the burgers, the salmon burgers are on the plate, ready to go. Now we have the edamame, the corn, and the onions that have been sauteed together gently, and I've added some fresh feta cheese. Don't buy the feta cheese, it's already crumbled. I often say that. It's not going to be as salty and as good as the flavor because the oxygen's already gotten to it, so break it up yourself. Now let's take some organic red and yellow grape tomatoes, some flat leaf parsley, or cilantro. Cilantro is always going to be my choice. I love it. And let's give that a toss. And then simple dressing. Remember, this already had some olive oil in it as we sauteed. So I'm going to do both a little splash of white balsamic vinegar, really something that I love in my cabinet, and just a pinch of sherry wine vinegar. Sherry wine vinegar has more of that tart bite, so I want to keep this a little bit smooth. Then, to just top it off along with the salmon burgers, I don't use a roll because I already have, you know, the corn is going to have some carbohydrate in it, but a little treat are these Old Florida sweet potato tortilla chips. I love them. So we have the salmon burgers. Let's put down some edamame, and the greatest thing, this edamame is going to last a couple days. So as the rain lasts, you can just kind of tuck into it with your chips, and it's going to be just so good. And you can always just use it as a topping, whether it's on chicken or the burgers or the tuna, as I mentioned. So you can get this recipe on mysuncoast.com, and we'll be back just to wrap it up and bring you more weather in just a moment.
SRQ Performance Parts provides parts and accessories from over 300 manufacturers, so you can get that new manifold, carburetor, gasket, bolt kit, or nitrous oxide system fast. We'll help you beat the competition. Call or visit SRQ Performance Parts online today for all your high-performance parts and advice.
Being the caregiver for someone you love is truly a blessing, but sometimes you can lose a part of yourself. To be your best, for them and for you, it's important to have time to be able to recharge your batteries. When you call Tidewell Hospice, they can give you a chance to do just that, and with the peace of mind of knowing your loved one is in the very best hands. Tidewell Hospice. It's more than you think.
It's Lincoln's summer sales event here at Alex Karras Lincoln. Drive a brand new 2017 Lincoln MKC Sports Utility for $249 per month or 2017 MKZ for $299 per month. We are proud to introduce the newest addition to the Lincoln lineup, the all-new 2017 Lincoln Continental. We have a great selection and ready for immediate delivery. Alex Karras Lincoln, affordable luxury, winner of the prestigious 2015 President's Award, serving Florida's Suncoast since 1978. We are located 2 miles north of the Sarasota-Bradenton Airport on US 41.
Get ready for the most hair-raising event of the summer. Belt Entertainment and the Ringling Museum present international circus superstar Bello Knott in Incredibello, a gravity-defying, laughter-inducing, super stunt performance live at the historic Oslo Theater. Don't miss out on the must-see event of the summer, Incredibello, playing June 13th through July 29th. For tickets, visit ringling.org today.
ABC 7, your Suncoast News. We're here for you weeknights at 5.
For the last decade, SNS Motorsports of Sarasota has built custom high-performance vehicles for demanding clients worldwide. They're now bringing their 50-plus years of combined build expertise to the parts business. SRQ Performance Parts is your one-stop shop for all your performance parts and accessories.
Okay, just to update you on what is going on weather-wise, we have this line of showers that is set up almost stationary across the southern part of the viewing area. And contained within this line of showers are some very strong thunderstorms that are moving onshore. In particular, we now have 2 severe thunderstorm warnings that are up for about the next 15 minutes or so in these 2 polygons. Again, if you're inside of one of these polygons, you can be affected by these storms. Now, this polygon that's heading up toward Arcadia, that's about half over now. But this one is a fresh one that's moving through parts of Charlotte and Lee County, and that one requires attention. You notice this area in purple here? That is an indication of hail markers that have been reported by Doppler radar as an indication of the strong possible hail-producing core of this system as it moves closer to Port Charlotte. Also, this is a shear marker, and while it isn't a very significant shear marker, it does show the power of this particular cell. It has a good thunderstorm rotation, and it's possible that it could kick up a waterspout in the mouth of Charlotte Harbor. So if you're in Punta Gorda, watch for that. There is the first strong core of the thunderstorm cell moving up toward tropical Gulf Acres, toward Arcadia on a line that will take it eventually into Highlands County out of our viewing area. This storm, once it passes Arcadia, I think will lose a lot of its power, but as it moves toward Arcadia, it still contains some gusty winds in excess of 60 miles an hour, as well as the potential for some very heavy downpours of rain. So if you know anyone who might be traveling on 41 in this area between Arcadia and tropical Gulf Acres, text them now. Tell them you need to pull off the road and get into a safe location as that core of that system moves closer and closer to 75 as well. Also, the second core now moving just to the north of Northport on the way to Arcadia, producing some very heavy rainfall and some gusty winds as well. This whole line of storms is all part of an extended line of storms traveling well out into Gulf waters. And what is happening is it's setting up a situation where we'll have one cell after another, training over the same general location, anywhere between Venice and, I'd say all the way down south toward Marco Island. Anywhere within that area, we could see the potential for some flooding of low-lying areas, as well as some significant street flooding as well. So if you do not have to be on the roadways this afternoon in this location, I would advise against it. Just stay indoors and let these storms kind of phase themselves out as we progress through the afternoon. In addition to the gusty winds, which is a significant issue, I mean, it can certainly do some roof damage, knock down some trees, that sort of thing. There is plenty of lightning associated with these thunderstorm cells, and that is another one of the major threats from thunderstorm cells like this moving, especially over the same area, because you can be in for hours, literally hours, of lightning and thunder in these locations, as this cell is just not moving all that much. It might drift a little bit further to the south, but it's really not going. And you can see all of the lightning strikes. I mean, there are literally hundreds and hundreds of lightning strikes per hour associated with these cells as they move off to the north and to the east. So significant rainfall rates as well already this afternoon, in excess of 3.5 inches, 5 inches in some locations in inlet areas around Myakka, producing, of course, that issue of some localized flooding. Already there have been some flooding for some of the Alfaya River near Riverview has just been issued a flood warning. And I was looking at some of the stream gauges over the last 24 hours. Take the Myakka River at Myakka, or the Manatee River at Myakka Head. The amount of discharge from that river in the days before this rain event began was about 4 or 5 cubic feet per second. In the last 24 hours, it has surged to 60 feet per second. So a rapid increase in some of these rivers, and we may well see some river warnings issued over the next day or two for the possibility of some very strong thunderstorm cells passing over those basins and producing some rivers that might exceed their bankfuls. 80% chance of storms through the remainder of the afternoon, particularly in the southern part of the viewing area, and that will continue on into the evening hours. Back to you, Scott.
Okay, John, thank you. More store closures for Sears and Kmart. The company is closing 49 Kmart stores and 17 Sears locations by this September. The latest closures are in addition to the 180 stores that were announced to close earlier this year. None of those latest closures are here in Florida. Company is also delaying a repayment of a $500 million loan. The retail giant has been struggling to stay afloat among online competitors. So what would you do if you found $12,000 in cash? Would you keep it or turn it in? A 17-year-old housekeeper in Wisconsin was faced with that exact dilemma this past weekend. While cleaning one of the rooms at a hotel, she found a cooler filled with $12,000 and some important personal documents. She says her thought wasn't to take it home, but to take it to the front desk.
The karma thing, if you do bad things, karma's going to come back to get you. But like if you do good things, like obviously good things happen and come in return.
Fortunately, the man who left the cooler came back the next day. The hotel says he was relieved to find the cooler still there and awarded the teen $100 for her honesty. Nice gesture. We'll be right back with more news. Stay with us.
For your plumbing, electrical, or air conditioning, and services is qualified, and service calls are free. And services.com, A-N-D, services.com.
Let me introduce you to the ultimate Florida window. Do you feel safer with this or this? You'll be proud too.
Going on now. For every 2 windows you buy, get 1 more free. Call today. With a top prize of $10 million, the new $10 million world-class cash scratch-off from the Florida Lottery is your ticket to take on the world.
If you get knocked down, stand up again. Rip it up again. Give me one chance, I'm gonna make it. Give me my chance, this is my chance, I'm gonna take it.
The new $10 million world-class cash scratch-off from the Florida Lottery. One of our life-changing scratch-offs offering billions in cash prizes.
Since 1972, Sleep King has provided quality mattresses and accessories at the best discounted prices available. Top brands like Simmons, Sealy, Serta, Beauty Rest, Eye Comfort, and more. With available free delivery, free financing, and free setup and removal. For a comfortable night's sleep with same-day delivery, even if we have to carry it on our backs. Trust Sleep King of Sarasota. Buy it today, sleep on it tonight.
This is an important medical announcement. Xarelto and Pradaxa have been linked to uncontrollable bleeding and even death. If you've been prescribed one of these drugs and have experienced these dangerous side effects, you may be entitled to substantial compensation. Studies show that Pradaxa can cause more heart attacks than warfarin, and other countries have already issued safety warnings against this drug. Call now for a free assessment of your case and potential money damages. The call is confidential, there's no cost, and you may be eligible. Juries have awarded millions of dollars to Pradaxa victims, and thousands of Xarelto victims are filing their legal cases. Call the Drug Watch hotline if you or a loved one used Xarelto or Pradaxa and experienced uncontrollable bleeding, brain hemorrhage, or even death. You must call now.
Call 800-793-6055. 800-793-6055.
Check out My Suncoast Dining on mysuncoast.com, your guide to the foodie lifestyle. ABC7's own Chef Judy serves up her favorite recipes, cooking tips and trends, dining blogs, step-by-step videos, and Suncoast Restaurant Guide. You'll find it all at mysuncoast.com/dining.
For your plumbing, electrical, or air conditioning, and services is qualified, and service calls are free. And services.com, A-N-D, services.com.
And there we have it, modern version of a feta herb succotash with edamame, the grilled salmon burgers, these awesome Old Florida sweet potato chips. I think you're going to really enjoy it all week long, a recipe to hold on to. Go on mysuncoast.com and click on the recipe and stay with ABC throughout the afternoon on this weather. It's really important. I'm going to send it over to you guys and I'll meet you over there.
All right, Judy, thank you. There's already talk of a sequel to Wonder Woman. Star Gal Gadot and director Patty Jenkins are reportedly signing on for a follow-up to the current box office smash. Fans have been clamoring for a cameo also from Linda Carter. TV's Wonder Woman from the 1970s. The director says they're trying to get her on board. All right, back to our weather situation today. We've had some severe weather earlier this morning, and of course now
we still do.
Yeah, in South Sarasota County. Yeah.
That's right, headed toward Arcadia. I think the biggest cell is now located there. But we do have 2 polygons up due to expire in about 6 minutes. Nevertheless, even so, we are in for a rough afternoon of some strong storms. Right now, as I mentioned, the core of the heaviest storm moving toward Arcadia at a pretty good clip. I mean, this is moving at about 45, 50 miles an hour. And then down to the south, weather conditions have improved a little bit about in the mouth of Charlotte Harbor. But we have had some reports around Boca Grande, around the Charlotte Yacht Club down there of sustained wind speeds of about 60 miles an hour, 58, 57 miles per hour. So significant storminess down in that location, as well as torrential downpours of rain. This extends outward into Gulf waters some distance, and the whole line is slowly sinking southward. I've noticed some pressure drops over the last hour or so down to the south around the Fort Myers region, an indication that that storm system will continue to drift down toward that location. But still, within those lines that I outlined, there is the potential of some flooding rains over the next hour or two, and the potential of some really slow go on roadways. If you can, just stay indoors if you live from, say, Venice southward through the mouth of Charlotte Harbor. Give it a couple hours. That storm system will be sinking southward into areas that saw a little bit more sunshine this afternoon. We, of course, will be with you, updating on social media, as well as breaking into programming should that be warranted or necessary.
All right. John, thank you so much. By the way, happy anniversary to you and your wife.
Thank you very much. 20 years. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us. Have a great afternoon and stay dry and safe.
There are many choices when it comes to AC companies. Our advice? Choose a company that performs employee background checks and is licensed with top manufacturers like Daikin. Daikin offers a 12-year parts and labor limited warranty. For better comfort and value, call Elite Heating and Air.
Hi, I'm Joan London with A Place for Mom. Over the years, we've helped thousands of families find senior care, and today's senior living communities have never been better. With amazing amenities like movie theaters, exercise rooms and swimming pools, public cafes, bars and bistros, even pet care services. And nobody understands your options like the advisors at A Place for Mom. These are local expert advisors that will partner with you to find the perfect place and determine the right level of care, whether that's just a helping hand or full-time memory care. Best of all, it's a free service. Call today. A Place for Mom. You know your family, we know senior living. Together, we'll make the right choice.
Call A Place for Mom right now to get our free ebook on financing senior care, as well as a free referral for senior living communities in your area. Call 1-800-290-0352. That's 1-800-290-0352.